Discover the incredible moment at the bus stop. A shivering girl's life-changing journey revealed. Mia stood alone at the bus stop, the icy wind biting through her worn-out jacket. Her tattered backpack felt like a lifeline as she clutched it close, the weight of her dreams pressing against her small frame. Each morning, the gray bus lumbered down the road, a glimmer of hope in the bleak midwinter. But today, the frigid air was thick with worry. She could barely shake off the thoughts of her family's struggles, of the bully's sneers echoing in her mind, drowning out visions of a better life at the prestigious middle school so near yet so far. The town bustled around her, a mix of hurried students, tired factory workers, and chatty retirees, all of them heading somewhere, slipping into their routines while she remained stuck, frozen in the cold. Old Mr. Thompson, a weathered veteran with kind eyes, often caught up with her during these moments. Today, he shuffled over, his hands tucked deep in his pockets. "Mia, let me tell you a story," he said, voice crackling like the frost in the air. "When I was your age, life didn't always feel fair. But I learned that dreams don't give up on you, and you shouldn't give up on them either." His presence warmed her like a forgotten blanket, and she listened as he shared tales of his struggles, times when he thought he couldn't go on, yet somehow did. But just as hope began to bloom, tragedy swept in like a snowstorm. Mia's mother fell ill, and everything changed overnight. Bills piled up like snowdrifts, and Mia felt the weight of the world settle on her narrow shoulders. Dropping out of school started to creep into her mind, a dark option she never thought she'd consider. "I have to help," she thought, feeling noble yet trapped. The thought of leaving her dreams behind felt like a punch to her gut. As the cold reality sunk in, a new kind of silence settled over the bus stop. Her classmates whispered, laughter tinged with something dark. The bullies snickered, their voices sharp as ice. But today, instead of retreating, something changed within Mia. "No more," she thought fiercely. She found her voice, shaky but strong. "You don't know me," she shouted at them, surprising herself. Those words echoed, and for the first time, the teasing snickers faded, replaced by stunned silence. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen." Now let's continue. Mia didn't realize it, but her small stand was beginning to turn heads, even in the chill of winter. One by one, the townsfolk started to notice her quiet strength, the spark of resilience igniting a glimmer of empathy. News spread of Mia's selflessness, stirring something within the community. A fundraiser was in the works, a rallying cry to support her family, a movement against the stereotype of poverty that loomed over them like a dark cloud. As the bus approached, Mia felt a whirlwind of emotions, the weight of responsibility, the warmth of community support, and the glimmer of hope. The doors opened, the bus was ready to whisk her away on a journey of dreams and possibilities, yet she stood frozen at the stop. Heart racing, she faced a choice: cling to the hopes Mr. Thompson inspired or surrender to the harsh grip of reality. The bus waited, the crowd holding its breath. What would she decide? Mia's heart thundered in her chest, each beat urging her to make a choice. She could either step onto the bus or stand her ground, exposed to the stares of her classmates and the cold air biting at her skin. The voices of the bullies faded, replaced by the soft encouragement echoing in her mind from Mr. Thompson. "Dreams don't give up on you." As if sensing her hesitation, the bus driver leaned out, a look of concern etching his brow. "You coming, kid?" His voice was heavy with compassion, a reminder that even strangers could offer kindness. Taking a deep breath, she stepped delicately forward, her feet moving almost on instinct. But just before she reached the bus, she turned around and faced the crowd gathering at the stop. Her classmates' faces were a mix of confusion and curiosity, and for a fleeting moment, she felt the urge to cower. But then she remembered her own words, the strength she had discovered within herself. "I'm not just some girl in a cheap jacket," she declared, her voice rising above the murmurs. "I'm Mia. And I'm here to say I'll keep fighting for my dreams, no matter what." The crowd fell quiet, the weight of her words hanging in the air. A ripple of emotion spread through the gathering. Some of her classmates exchanged glances, while others seemed to reflect on their own choices and struggles. Even the bullies looked unsure for a moment, their bravado shaken. Mia felt a flicker of warmth at the edge of her heart. This was her moment, and she was choosing to own it. With that, she stepped onto the bus and found a seat by the window. As the bus lurched forward, she glanced back at the stop, where old Mr. Thompson still stood, nodding with pride. As the scenery blurred past, the bus filled with familiar landmarks she often overlooked in the hustle of her daily life. Something about the morning sun breaking through the clouds gave her renewed hope. Mia knew she needed to focus on her studies, her dreams, and the support surrounding her. At school, she felt different. No longer just a shadow among her peers, she began to see glimpses of her potential. To her surprise, she found herself surrounded by classmates who were extending olive branches, inviting her to study groups, sharing notes, even sitting with her at lunch. However, shadows lingered. The nagging worries about her mother's health and the impending bills were there, like a storm looming at the horizon. And every so often, moments of doubt pulled her back to darkness, just as easily as the bullies' laughs would echo in her mind. One day, as she walked home after a long day at school, a flyer caught her eye. Community meeting, strength in numbers, it read, promoting a neighborhood gathering to discuss support for families in need. For the first time, she felt a pull toward action. Maybe I can do more, she thought, her heart racing with uncertainty and excitement. That night, after helping her mother settle in with some warm soup, Mia stared at the flickering candle illuminations from a nearby window. She started thinking about the meeting. What if she shared her story? What if her voice mattered? As she held her breath, contemplating a world where she could stand up not just for herself, but others too, one thought crystallized within her: the power of community was greater than she had ever realized. But when the day of the meeting arrived, Mia stood at the edge of the crowd, watching the families gather, nervous energy buzzing in the air. Would she be brave enough to face her fears and share her story? Her heart raced, every doubt swarming like bees in her mind. Would they listen? Would they understand? With the first person stepping forward to speak, she felt the ground shift under her feet. Mia's breath caught in her throat. The words floated around her like an unexpected storm, swelling in her chest, demanding to be heard. As the first speaker walked to the front, she took a step back, hidden in the crowd, her heart pounding like a drum. The room was filled with warmth and the scent of fresh coffee, but it did little to calm her nerves. Each face turned toward the stage was eager, hopeful, waiting. As the speakers shared their story of struggle and resilience, Mia felt a mix of awe and anxiety. This person, standing up and baring their soul, looked so brave. She squeezed her eyes shut for a moment, imagining herself up there sharing her own truth. What would she say? How could she possibly fit her feelings into a few sentences? But then a flicker of determination ignited within her. You can do this, she whispered inaudibly, almost daring herself to believe it. The speaker finished, and applause erupted, pulling her from her thoughts like a lifeline. Mia grasped at the moment, her resolve hardening. She realized this gathering wasn't just about speaking, it was about connection. It was a place where stories could resonate, where understanding could bridge gaps. As the next speaker began, she shifted her weight from one foot to the other, careful to avoid the judgment of the eyes that seemed to pierce through her. But finally, as the third person stepped away from the mic, she felt the nudge of something deeper. Maybe it was the kind smiles in the audience or the knowing nods of encouragement. Whatever it was, it sparked something within her. I can't keep hiding, she thought as she took a breath. It swelled in her chest, filling her with a sense of urgency. It was now or never. With her heart thumping, she made her way to the stage. She felt tiny against the larger backdrop but resolved to stand tall. The microphone felt cold and foreign in her hands, yet it also felt like a means to unleash the stories bottled up inside her for far too long. Hi, I'm Mia. Her voice wobbled slightly as the crowd turned towards her, faces expecting, curious. I want to share my story, not because it's easy, but because maybe, just maybe, someone else needs to hear it. The murmurs quieted to a hush. Mia felt a jolt of adrenaline coursing through her. She shared about her mother, her struggles, and the doubts that often kept her up at night. The words began to flow freely, unguarded. Each moment that passed felt like shedding chains, each sentence resonating a little louder in the room. Time lost its meaning as she poured herself out. I realized that even in the darkest moments, I'm still stronger than I believe. And if I can stand here today, then anyone can. As she concluded, a ripple of applause washed over her, fierce and encouraging. The weight lifted from her shoulders felt almost freeing. She wasn't just a girl in a cheap jacket anymore. She was Mia, with a voice that mattered, but as she stepped down, the moment of triumph was quickly overshadowed by another thought. What about her mother? She had shared her story, but did that really change anything at home? When she looked back at the crowd, she saw nods of understanding, sympathetic faces focused intently on her. Some had even begun to form small groups, sharing their own stories, the air thick with emotional connection. Would there be a way to connect this kindness to her home life? Mia began to feel a blend of hope and trepidation. If she could inspire others, could they help her reach out for help, for her mother? As she stepped off the stage, a question hung in the air, wrapping around her heart. Could this be the beginning of something bigger? Something that could change not just her life, but her mother's too. Mia stepped off the stage, her heart racing, but this time it wasn't just from nerves. It was a flutter of hope mixed with uncertainty. She lost herself in the warmth of the applause that echoed in her ears, yet her mind drifted back home. Back to her mother's quiet struggles and the weight of silence that hung over their tiny apartment. As she navigated through the crowd, she noticed a small group to her left, heads huddled together. They were sharing stories, laughter punctuating the air, bright as sunlight breaking through clouds. Mia felt a tug at her heart. Their shared vulnerability ignited something in her. She wanted to be part of that, to feel that connection again. Slowly, she approached them, taking a deep breath. "Can I join?" she asked, her voice almost shy. "Of course." A girl with wild curls waved her over with an enthusiastic grin. "We were just talking about how important it is to connect with others." Mia settled in, and the stories flowed. Each shared moment urged her to contribute again, coaxing the bravery she had found on stage. One girl spoke about her father's struggles with addiction. Another shared how she fought against anxiety every day. Each story wrapped around Mia like a warm hug, and she felt a fierce camaraderie begin to bloom. "I guess we're all trying to figure things out," Mia remarked, her thoughts drifting back to her mother. "I just shared my fears about my mom. She's been having a hard time, you know." The group listened intently, their faces a mix of concern and understanding. The girl with the curls leaned forward. "Have you talked to her about what you shared? Maybe your mother needs to hear your courage." Mia's stomach churned at the suggestion. What if her mom didn't want to talk? Or worse, what if she dismissed Mia's feelings? The comfort of the moment seemed to slip away, replaced by the resistance of familiar doubt. "I don't know," Mia sighed, her voice trembling. "I want to, but what if she doesn't understand?" "Sometimes, the hardest step is the first one," another voice chimed in, soft and steady. "You love her, right? That connection is stronger than fear." Mia nodded, the warmth of their words wrapping around her. Maybe it really was time. With the group still discussing ideas, she allowed herself to imagine a scene: her mother sitting across from her, finally hearing Mia's truth. The hope felt fragile but real, like the first breath of spring after a long winter. As the meeting concluded, everyone exchanged contact information, promising to support one another. Mia felt lighter, like she hadn't just shared a story, but had also woven herself into a new safety net. When she stepped outside, she lingered for a moment, enjoying the crisp evening air. The sky turned shades of orange and purple, painting a picture of potential. But as she turned the corner towards the bus stop, that initial spark of bravery faded, replaced by apprehension. Suddenly, someone caught her eye: a shivering girl, alone at the bus stop, clutching her backpack tightly. Mia felt a pull, an echo of her own past fears and solitude. In that moment, her heart raced again, sending a jolt of understanding through her. what if this girl needed help the way Mia had once needed it? Mia approached her slowly. "Hey, are you okay?" she said, her voice kind but cautious. The girl looked up, eyes wide with surprise, as Mia realized she was at a crossroads. Would she reach out and take another step, replicating the brave connections she had found tonight? What if she thought, her heart thudding, this is how I can really start to change things for the better? Her gaze remained locked on the girl, and she felt a spark of possibility flickering brightly within her. Would this moment lead to something profound? Mia took another step forward, her heart racing in tandem with her thoughts. The girl shivered, her frail frame wrapped in an oversized hoodie that looked 2 sizes too big. "I'm fine," she stuttered, but the tremble in her voice told another story. Mia could see distress flickering behind those wide eyes. "It's okay," Mia replied, reaching for the warmth of connection. "You don't have to pretend." The girl looked at her, searching for sincerity. Mia took a seat on the bench beside her, leaving a space between them. It was a small gesture, but a bridge she hoped would make the girl feel less alone. "Do you want to talk about it?" Mia asked gently, trying to create a safe space. The girl's voice broke softly. "It's just I don't have anywhere to go. I can't go home." Mia's chest tightened. So much wrapped up in those words. She thought of her own home, the silence, the weight of her mother's unvoiced struggles. There was a bond there, a shared understanding, even in the pain. "Do you want to tell me what's happening?" Mia offered, her voice steady. The girl hesitated but felt the warmth building from the kind eyes beside her. "It's just been hard. My parents, they don't get me. They don't understand why I feel this way. So I ran." Mia swallowed hard. "I know what that feels like. Sometimes it feels like the people who are supposed to support you just don't." As their eyes met, Mia felt a shift. In this vulnerable moment, they were 2 parts of a whole: the girl, searching for refuge, and Mia, desperate to break out of her own shell. "I had a tough time with my mom too," Mia continued, letting her heart spill out. "But it helped to finally talk about it. Maybe you could try that?" The girl looked at Mia with a flicker of hope. "You think it would help?" Mia nodded vigorously. "You deserve to be heard. Just like I wanted to be." Time seemed to stretch around them as the girl leaned a little closer, a reluctant smile breaking through her frown. "I guess I could try. I mean, what do I have to lose?" Mia's heart swelled. "Exactly. You're stronger than you think. Just take it one step at a time." With each word, Mia felt the shadow of her own fears retreat. Connecting with this girl ignited something deep inside her, a realization that her struggles were not in vain. They became ribbons that intertwined, creating resilience. Suddenly, the bus rumbled into view, lights glinting against fading daylight. The girl's eyes darted towards it, anxiety creeping back over her features. What if I say the wrong thing?" she whispered, fear creeping back into her voice. "Then you say it," Mia replied simply. "You do your best. The rest will follow." The girl nodded slowly, visibly torn, but Mia could see the wheels turning in her head. Before the girl stood to board the bus, she hesitated, turning to Mia. "Thank you really. It means so much that you stopped." In that moment, something profound sparked between them, a gentle promise that they weren't alone in their struggles. As the girl stepped towards the bus, Mia knew she had crossed into a new territory. She had taken another brave step. But what awaited her when she returned home? Would the courage she found today translate into her own life, into the difficult conversation waiting at her doorstep? Feeling a fierce determination swelling inside her, Mia stood tall. She had a chance now. With one more glance at the retreating bus, Mia turned toward the distant glow of her apartment building. Time to face the music, she thought, a new strength swelling in her chest as she took her first step forward. But the question lingered in her mind: could she really find the words to bridge the gap between her and her mother? Mia's footsteps echoed in the dim light of the street, each tap a reminder that she was solidifying her own path. The weight of that earlier encounter settled on her mind like a thick fog, pulling at her heartstrings. What had she just done? She had listened, really listened, to someone in pain. And now, it was her turn to face the reality pressing against her chest. As she approached the apartment building, the familiarity of her surroundings felt almost suffocating. The peeling paint and the flickering hallway lights were a stark contrast to the warmth she had just experienced. She reached the door and paused, her hand lingering on the cold metal knob. Would her mom be sitting there, still wrapped in her own worries? Would they even talk? Pushing the door open, Mia stepped inside, greeted by the smell of something savory her mother's cooking, yet again a silent attempt to create normalcy. As she moved toward the small kitchen, memories flooded her, late nights consumed by arguments, the tension thick enough to slice through. But today, she felt different, like something had shifted within her. Mia? Is that you? Her mother's voice broke through the haze, sounding a little hopeful, but equally weary. Yeah, Mom, she replied, her voice steadier than she felt. I'm home. In the kitchen, her mother stood over the stove, a spatula in hand and a look of relief washing over her face. Mia's heart ached at the sight. It was clear that her mom had been worrying. Dinner will be ready in a few, her mother said, avoiding Mia's eyes for a moment. I was thinking maybe we could watch that show you like afterward. Mia nodded, the simple offer sending a warmth through her chest. But the moment felt fragile, like a tiny flame that could either grow or flicker out. She took a deep breath, gathering her courage. Mom, she started, her voice wavering slightly. Can we talk? Like, really talk? Her mother turned, surprise flickering across her face. Sure, what's on your mind? The words tumbled over one another as Mia tried to structure her thoughts. I met someone today. She's struggling, like us, and it made me think about how we have our own things to work through. I don't think we've really talked about stuff that hurts us. Mia's mother leaned back against the counter, her expression shifting from confusion to concern. She crossed her arms, as if trying to shield herself from the conversation that was about to unfold. Mia honey, can we not do this right now? I'm tired. Please, Mia urged, her voice growing more passionate. You always say I need to communicate, but then you shut down. I want to be there for you. I just want to understand. The silence that followed was suffocating. Mia felt the air between them grow thicker, charged heavy with unsaid words and unshared pain. Her heart raced as she braced herself for what might come next. I know things are tough, her mom finally said, her tone softening but lined with exhaustion. But I have my own battles. It's easier to just keep going sometimes. And there it was, the truth they'd both skirted around for so long. Right, but maybe we could help each other? Mia felt a glimmer of hope, the kind that sparked in her chest each time she found someone to connect with. Just then, a loud crash echoed from the other room, sending both of them jumping. Mia's heart dropped. Wasn't it ironic? Just as they were on the brink of a breakthrough, chaos came crashing in. What was that? Her mother asked, wide-eyed. I don't know, Mia replied, adrenaline rushing in her veins. As they exchanged worried glances, something deep inside Mia knotted tighter. Was it bad luck? Or perhaps a sign that they weren't meant to face their truths just yet? With uncertainty hanging in the air, one question loomed larger than the others. What awaited them on the other side of that door? Mia's pulse drummed in her ears as she and her mother exchanged anxious looks. The crash had come from the living room, and for a moment, the world outside faded into a blur. It was as if time stood still, the urgency pressing in on them like an unwelcome specter. Should we check? Mia whispered, her throat dry. Her mother hesitated, then nodded. Together, they stepped carefully toward the living room, each footfall heavy with anticipation. The air around them was electric, thick with unvoiced fears. Mia pushed the door slightly ajar, bracing herself for whatever lay beyond. As it swung open, Mia's heart sank. There, sprawled awkwardly on the floor, was a bunch of crumpled papers and the coffee table that had toppled over. But it wasn't that mess that made her breath hitch, it was the figure kneeling on the ground. Riley? Mia gasped, stepping fully into the room. What was her friend doing here? Riley looked up, wide-eyed and trembling, as if she'd been caught doing something wrong. Oh. Mia. I didn't mean to barge in. She stammered, her face flushed with embarrassment. Mia's heart raced at the sight of her friend's distress. The scrapes on Riley's elbows hinted at a struggle, and her usual vibrant aura seemed dimmed under the weight of something unsaid. What happened? Mia asked, rushing to help her friend gather the scattered papers. I was trying to find a place to clear my head, but I thought I'd come here but didn't mean to interrupt. Your door was just open, Riley explained, avoiding Mia's gaze. We've had our share of interruptions today too, Mia murmured, casting a quick glance toward her mother, who was still lingering in the doorway, taking in the scene with a frown. Her mom stepped into the room, her instincts as a parent kicking in. Riley, are you okay? Do you need anything? Meeting her mother's gaze, Riley exhaled slowly. I just needed a friend. The admission hung in the air, raw and vulnerable. Mia felt a rush of empathy. Here they were, they all needed connection but were battling their own storms. You can talk to us, Riles. Just like I was trying to talk to my mom. Riley glanced at Mia, her eyes glistening with unshed tears. I don't know, things have been really hard at school. I thought if I could just escape for a minute, but now I feel worse. The revelation hit Mia like a freight train. She and Riley had shared countless laughter, but they had never dug deep into their struggles. The barriers they had constructed were crumbling, giving way to the storms swirling outside them. What if, Mia began, feeling a new flicker of determination, what if we help each other? All of us together? Talk out the chaos, not just the good stuff. Her mother's gaze softened, the tension in her shoulders easing. I think that's a great idea, she replied quietly. As the three of them settled onto the couch, Mia felt hope swell within her. It wasn't just about confronting their pain, it was about building a bridge over it, together. But as they began to share their stories, an eerie shout came from outside the world outside their small bubble, striking a harsh reminder that life doesn't stop just for them. Mia's heart thudded. What now? Was this just the beginning? Would the outside chaos seep into their moment of connection? As they straightened up, a new question hung in the air, thick with anticipation. Was this the moment they had all been waiting for, or simply a brief pause before more storms to come? The shout cut through the room, sharp and jarring. The three of them stiffened, eyes darting toward the window. Mia could see shadows moving outside, frantic and chaotic. A clamor of voices filled the air, their intentions lost in the confusion. Should we? Mia began, but her mother's gaze silenced her. They were trapped between fear and the urge to connect. Riley bit her lip, her breath hitching again. What if something bad is happening out there? She whispered, glancing at the door as if it were a ticking time bomb. Mia felt her own pulse quicken. We can't just sit here. We need to see if anyone needs help. Before she could convince herself otherwise, she stood up, driven by an instinct to protect. Her mother looked reluctant but followed suit, stubborn yet worried. Stay behind us, Riley, her mom said firmly. Together, they moved to the door. Mia hesitated, a momentary fear tightening her chest. What if it's dangerous? She half-asked, half-stated, the truth of the world outside weighing heavily on her. But Riley was already pressing forward, her smaller frame quaking with a mixture of dread and determination. I'm not going to let you two face this alone. There's something happening, and we can't just ignore it. The door creaked as they opened it, revealing the darkening sky and the continued uproar beyond their little sanctuary. Outside, neighbors rushed past, their faces pale and frantic. What is going on? Mia shouted as she backed away, her voice almost swallowed by the chaos. Fire. Over at the old market. Someone screamed back. Her heart sank. The old market had been a staple, a hangout place filled with laughter and life. Now it was becoming a memory. Mia turned to her mother and Riley. We need to help. The thought raced through Mia's mind. Who could they support? Where could they lend a hand? With nods of shared understanding, the three girls darted out of the house, adrenaline pumping through their veins. As they approached the growing crowd gathering near the market, dark smoke billowed into the air, painting everything in hues of gray and fear. People were shouting, some crying. Mia felt a growing knot in her stomach, uncertain of what to do. She reached out, clutching Riley's hand, needing the grounding presence of her friend. "Look, there." Mia pointed toward an old man struggling to move his cart away from the growing flames. "We have to help him." They rushed forward, each step fueled by the sense of urgency. Riley shouted for the man to move, to keep going, while Mia and her mother pushed the heavy cart with all their might. "Just a bit further. We can do this together," Mia yelled, her voice rising above the din. When the cart finally moved out of reach of the flames, the man turned, his eyes wide and filled with gratitude. "Thank you. Thank you so much." In that moment, Mia felt a warmth bloom in her chest. They were scared, yes, but together, they were powerful. As they turned back, ready to see what more they could do, Mia caught a glimpse of another girl standing alone at the edge of the crowd, wrapped in a tattered blanket, shivering. Mia's gut twisted anew. We can't leave her there. But as she moved toward the girl, a loud crackle erupted nearby. Fire crackled angrily, and panic surged back through the crowd. "Wait! Mia!" Riley called after her, as if sensing the danger looming over them. Mia's heart raced once more. Could they reach the girl in time? Or would they be swept into the chaos that was unraveling before them? Every fiber of her being urged her on. Would their desire to help be enough to ward off the storm? The question hung heavier than any smoke, weighty with a truth she was just beginning to grasp. Mia's feet moved faster than her mind, propelled by a mix of urgency and fear. The girl stood alone, eyes wide and glistening, her body trembling beneath that thin blanket. "Riley, stay with Mom," Mia shouted, though she could barely hear her own voice over the chorus of chaos. Her heart thundered in her chest as she edged closer, dodging the frantic crowd. Bystanders were pulling back, waiting, warning glances exchanged among them. The fire raged fiercely, embers swirling like angry fireflies in the dusk. "Hey! Are you okay?" Mia shouted, nearly breathless. She didn't care if she startled the girl, she just needed to know she was safe. For a moment, the girl just stared, a flicker of confusion darting across her features. Then she shook her head, tears spilling over as she grabbed at the blanket, clutching it tighter. "I'm scared," she murmured, her voice barely a whisper. Mia felt the weight of those simple words, heavy as stone. "You're not alone," Mia said, stepping closer, reaching out a hand. "I'm right here. We're going to get you out of here." An explosion erupted close by, sending a massive jolt through the ground, followed by a wave of hot air. Mia stumbled back, instinctively shielding herself, but her focus never wavered from the girl. "Mia!" Her mother's voice cut through the noise, a blend of fear and firm insistence. "We have to get back." But Mia stood her ground, summoning every ounce of courage she had. "No. I'm not leaving her." With a rush of determination, the girl stepped forward, her small frame brimming with newfound bravery. "I don't want to be alone, I just don't know where to go." Mia reached out, the gap between them shrinking. "Then come with me." She could feel the heat radiating from the flames, clawing at her skin, but she wouldn't let fear dictate her next move. Just then, Riley dashed up beside them, nearly breathless. "Mia. We don't have time, I can't leave her." Mia insisted, her voice rising. "We have to help her." Their eyes met, and there was a moment of understanding. Riley nodded, the fear unspoken but palpable. "Okay. But we stick together." The girl stepped forward hesitantly, still shivering. My name is Lila," she said, almost shyly. "Mia," she replied quickly, feeling a warmth spread through her, a tether forming between them. She turned to Riley. "You grab her other arm. We'll get her out." Riley nodded, slipping her arm around Lila's slender shoulders. "Now," Mia urged. "Focus on moving. Heart racing, they started to back away from the chaos, but the ground cracked again. A fiery burst erupted nearby, sending debris flying. The crowd gasped, scattering as everyone sought safety. "Keep going," Mia shouted, adrenaline coursing through her veins. They pressed forward, inching away from the encroaching flames. Together, the three of them moved as one unit, a fragile yet determined string binding them together. They picked their way through the panic, seeking shelter amidst the chaos. With Lila between them, they maneuvered through the throng, past faces swirling with fear, screams hanging in the air, but safety felt so far away. The heat began to overwhelm. Mia glanced back, her eyes scanning for her mother. Where was she? "Look!" Riley shouted, pointing toward a cafe on the corner. "We need to get inside." Mia's heart raced with desperation. "Can we make it?" But Lila squeezed her hand, a reminder that they wouldn't leave anyone behind. With renewed determination, they pressed forward. As they approached the door, a shadow stretched across their path, a silhouette standing firm, blocking their way. "Stop right there." A voice boomed from within the smoke and chaos. Mia's breath caught in her throat. Who was this? Were they going to turn them away? "Please," she began, each word fought through desperate panic. "We need to get inside." But the figure stood resolute, raising a hand as if to halt them, eyes narrowed. Mia's heart thundered louder, pounding against her ribcage. What would happen next? Would they be forced back into the chaos? The stakes felt impossibly high. Could fear consume them? Or could love and courage light the way? "Mia." Riley squeezed tighter. "What do we do?" And just like that, every heart in that moment felt weighty with questions. Would they be able to find refuge amid the storm? The figure's voice rose above the chaos, muffled yet insistent. "You can't go in. The fire department is securing the area." Panic danced in Mia's chest. Time felt arrested, each second stretching infinitely as the flames raged closer. "But we need help," Mia shouted back, the desperation fueling her words. "Not here." The stranger's face gradually came into view, revealing a fire chief's helmet glinting under the fading sun. "Your best bet is to keep moving." He pointed toward the alley behind the cafe, his expression softening slightly. "You have to trust me, there's an emergency exit around the back." With no time to spare, Mia exchanged a quick glance with Riley and Lila, who both nodded in shared determination. "Let us go," Mia urged, taking Lila's hand and pulling her through the crowd. Together, they navigated toward the alley, drawing closer with each hurried step. The heat behind them intensified, urging them on. Bursting through the narrow exit, the trio stumbled into a small courtyard. Shadows flickered against the brick walls, the sound of chaos drowned out momentarily by the thumping in their hearts. They stood panting, sweat glistening on their foreheads. "Is everyone okay?" Mia asked, scanning the two girls she was now bound with. Lila nodded, tears spilling down her cheeks, but her spirit somehow buoyed by the shared experience. Riley's eyes flashed with inspiration. "We can help others. There has to be more people who need us." Mia nodded, heart racing once more. "Yes. We can't just leave them behind." Gathering their courage, they decided to gather supplies and assist where they could. The atmosphere shifted from fear to a sense of purpose. They ran back toward the cafe, where volunteers were now coming together. As they arrived, they spotted tables set up, distributing water, clothing, and basic supplies to those affected. "Mia. Over here." A familiar voice cut through the clatter. Her mother emerged from the crowd, eyes wide with worry but relief washing over her when she spotted Mia. "Thank God you're safe." "Mama." Mia rushed over, pulling her into a tight embrace. "We're okay. I'm here." Her mother's warmth wrapped around her, a reminder of familial bonds amid the turmoil. "I was so worried," her mom whispered, pulling back to inspect her. "But you're safe. That's all that matters." Mia felt empowered, heart swelling. And I want to help, we need to help. She turned back to Riley and Lila. Are you both in? They nodded in agreement, determination igniting their spirits. Let us spread out, Mia said, rallying her small group. Together, they approached the chaotic scene, faces etched with fear and relief. With each cup of water handed out, with every blanket draped over a shivering body, Mia felt their strength grow. They were weaving a new kind of community, one that supported each other through darkness. Hours passed, filled with laughter and tears shared among strangers. They made small connections, exchanged stories of heartache and joy. Mia saw hope bloom in faces once shadowed by distress. Each grateful smile propelled her forward, reminding her that sometimes, connection was the light in the midst of chaos. In the haze of the night, amidst the sounds of people coming together, Mia noticed Lila was now talking to another girl, sharing their experiences, their fears. Riley stood at a distance, sharing supplies she'd gathered to help, and Mia felt her heart swell even larger as she spotted her mother, deep in conversation with neighbors. The walls that had once seemed impenetrable were crumbling, revealing the fragile beauty of vulnerability among neighbors and family alike. As the stars began to twinkle against the obsidian sky, and the fire's chaos transformed into a symphony of voices coming together, Mia found comfort in one undeniable truth: connection was the antidote to fear. They were not just individuals battling their storms, they were a community, and together, they were unstoppable. Mama, I think we're going to be okay, she said softly, catching her mother's eye as she joined her side. Her mom smiled, the lines on her face softening. Yes, Mia. I think we really are. But above them, the costs of that fire still hung like a heavy cloud. As they stood together, Mia felt the spark of resolve ignite again. They had weathered their storms, but perhaps this was just the beginning. They could rebuild together, lifting each other up rather than being consumed by fear. As she breathed in the crisp night air, surrounded by laughter and camaraderie, Mia realized that her journey toward hope had just begun, and she was ready to embrace whatever came next. And as they all stood together, the sounds of laughter and support surrounding them, she knew that they would rise, transformed. The flames may have brought chaos, but now, they were lighting the path towards healing together. You need to subscribe now, so you don't miss out on the next exclusive stories. This is the moment to show your support. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and comment your reactions and feelings about this ending. Don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Your support truly matters.